Have you ever really stopped to think about, well, thinking? How a single thought actually happens. Today, we're going to do just that. We're going on this incredible journey inside your own mind to follow one simple thought, from a tiny spark of sensation all the way up to a full-blown conscious decision.
Yeah, it seems like a simple question, right? But the answer? Whoa, it's way more complex than you'd imagine. See, the process of thinking isn't some magical flash of lightning. It's actually much more like a really, really well-run factory.
And that's honestly the best way to picture it. Think of your mind as this incredibly sophisticated assembly line. It's constantly taking in raw data from the world around you, and then, step by step, it processes and refines all that stuff into the conscious thoughts that, guide your entire life. Okay, so this mental assembly line, it's not just random. It's built on a really clear hierarchy. We're going to follow a thought as it works its way up through 5 totally distinct levels of thinking. We'll start right down on the factory floor and go all the way up to the CEO's office.
So here's the game plan, our roadmap for the journey. It all kicks off with sensory encoding. Then, it's on to pattern recognition. From there, it gets processed through memory and learning. After that, we hit abstract reasoning. And finally, the big boss, executive control. All right, let's dive in at the very beginning.
All right, first stop, we are on the ground floor. This is all about going from simple sensation to actual meaning. This is where your brain takes in all the raw, messy, chaotic information from the world and somehow starts to build your reality. Now, this is absolutely crucial to understand. Your mind isn't just a passive camera, just recording what's out there. No way. It's more like an active artist. It's constantly blending two things together. What we call bottom-up processing, that's the raw data from your senses, with top-down processing, which is all the knowledge you already have. So what you perceive is always a mix of what's actually there and what your brain expects to be there. So how does the mind pull this off so fast? Well, it's got these built-in cheat codes, basically. They're called Gestalt principles. Think of them as automatic rules for organizing sensory info. If a bunch of things are close together, or they look similar, or your brain can fill in the gaps to make a shape, boom, it just groups them together, instantly. It's the mind's amazing shortcut for seeing the whole forest instead of just a bunch of individual trees.
Okay, so our brain has taken that raw data and turned it into a meaningful pattern. What happens next? Where does it go? Well, we're moving up to the next level, into what you can call the mental workspace. This is tier 3, and folks, this is where the real thinking starts to happen. This workspace is divided into 2 major departments. You've got your working memory, which is kind of like the desktop on your computer. It's where you put the files you're working on right now. The catch? It has very limited space. Then you have your long-term memory. This is like a gigantic, sprawling library. It holds pretty much everything you've ever learned, but you have to actively retrieve that info to bring it up to your desktop to use it. So you're probably wondering, how do we get anything done with such a tiny mental desktop? Well, your brain has this amazing superpower. It's called chunking, and your brain is brilliant at it. It takes tiny, separate bits of info, like single letters, and groups them into bigger, meaningful chunks, like words or whole phrases. It's exactly why you can remember a phone number as 3 chunks instead of trying to remember 10 separate random digits. It's a total game changer. Okay, now this is where things get really, really interesting. Because inside this mental workspace, you've got 2 very different managers who are basically calling all the shots. And this brings us to the 2 fundamental systems that run your entire brain. So let's meet the dynamic duo of your mind. First, you've got System 1. This is your gut. It's fast, automatic, emotional. It's all about those gut feelings. This is the system that lets you instantly recognize a friend's face or duck without thinking when a ball comes flying at you. Then you've got System 2. This is your logical, analytical mind. It's slow, deliberate, and man, it takes a lot of effort. This is the system you have to fire up to solve a tricky math problem. And here's the kicker. Most of your day, you're running on System 1. So, how in the world is System 1 so incredibly fast? Well, its secret weapon is something called heuristics. These are just mental shortcuts, or rules of thumb, that let you make snap judgments. They're unbelievably efficient, which is great, but there's a trade-off. They're also the source of a lot of our cognitive biases, because they're built for speed, not for 100% accuracy. And you can really see that trade-off, that cost, right here. Just look at the huge difference in the cognitive effort required. Firing up that analytical System 2, it's exhausting. It burns real mental energy.
And that is exactly why our brains default to the easy, efficient system one literally every chance they get.
All right, after all that, our little thought has finally made it. It's climbed all the way to the top floor. It's time to meet your inner CEO. We're now at Tier 5, Executive Control and Metacognition. This is the part of your mind that's in charge of the whole operation.
So, what's on the CEO's job description? Well, it basically boils down to 3 key responsibilities. First, inhibition. That's the power to say a no to your impulses and tune out distractions. Super important. Second, working memory. And we're not just talking about holding information, but actively juggling it around to plan and reason. And third, cognitive flexibility. This is that crucial skill of being able to change your mind and see things from a new angle when the situation changes.
This whole process of self-management, this CEO function, it has a pretty cool name. It's called metacognition, which literally just means thinking about your own thinking. So the CEO isn't just stamping approved on decisions. No, it's constantly monitoring the entire assembly line, deciding, okay, should I trust my fast gut feeling workers, system 1 on this one, or is this important enough that I need to call in the slow, careful, analytical team, system 2?
And there you have it, the entire journey of a single thought. We saw it start as raw sensation, climb the ladder to become a pattern, get juggled around in working memory, get checked out by 2 totally different managers, and finally get the yes or no from the big boss. Understanding this whole process, it does more than just demystify how your brain works. It actually gives you more awareness, and with that, more control over the way you think. So now that you've met the CEO running the show inside your head, here's a question for you. What are you going to tell it to focus on?